Well, hello. Welcome to a very special Ham Radio Crash Course live stream. Today is basically our first, although we did something like this in the past, Patreon Q&A, discussion, whatever you want to call it, fun stream. So I put out a Zoom call, and some of the patrons are on board with us here, and we're going to have a little fun today. So thanks for joining us. We're going to flip right over to it and do maybe a little introductions, maybe a little hellos. So let's get started with that. All right. So let me throw it over here. We got some people over on the Zoom. How's everybody doing?
Very well.
Doing good.
So it looks like we have, and please correct me if I'm saying your names wrong. Liana, is that right? Liana? Got it. Okay. Greg. We got Stan. We got Peter. We got Sean. Rizzle. Is that right?
Yes.
Mike. Kevin, Sam, and Ryan. Thank you all for hopping on. At least that's where we're at right now. I'll keep an eye on the room as we continue to go here. So how's it going with everybody? Everybody having a good week so far?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Anybody working on anything fun, ham radio related, or anything fun you want to talk about?
My DX commander is supposed to be here Tuesday.
Got a DX commander coming in. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it cleared customs and it's supposed to be here Tuesday.
Have you ever built antennas like that before, or is this kind of a first time?
Nope, it's brand new.
Very cool. Very cool.
I watched Mike's videos probably 5 or 10 times.
Okay, that'll help.
I'm ready.
Very good. I've got one that I need to get started on building it. I just keep getting preempted with other kind of priority videos that I need to work on. But that's definitely on my list. Let's see, who else we got? Sorry, go ahead. What was that?
They're not especially hard to build. There's several steps, but yeah, the only really tool you need is one of those crimpers.
It's the tuning, right? It's for the tuning that you got to be careful, right?
Yeah, you got to get it pretty close. What, a rig expert or a nano VNA do the job just fine. So
I've got both of those at my disposal, so I'll probably be looking at that. Yeah, that's on my list because I got the Expedition one, which I think is going to be good for a lot of the stuff I do that's outdoors when I can't be dragging out a really complicated antenna. Put that up, even with low power, I should be pretty decent. So I'm excited to try that.
That'll be fun. I'm not doing anything. It's nothing major, but I'm not used to really building my own stuff, so I'm doing some counterpoise. I finally got some 2mm banana plugs, so I can do some wires.
Those are the little itty bitty guys, right?
Yeah, the Pactena Mini comes
Yes.
with tiny, and so it's looking for some. I had to order some, and I think they probably came from China or somewhere. They took forever, but I finally got.
The KX2 uses the same ones. They actually have a little ground hole on the KX2, and it comes with just a little radio. And I was like, oh, I should probably build something up on that. But I never could decide what I wanted to make the links for. So maybe I'll use the spade connectors to make something that you can just add to.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think the other thing is I'm going to be able to play next week with a new to me. It's going to be a combo Mastworks buddy pole. I'm going to be in Yosemite for a week, so
cool.
Friends, so I'm going to borrow it and we'll see.
What radio are you taking out?
I have Xiegu, the G90, and I have the X5105.
Oh, cool. Are you taking both, or are you just going to take the G90?
I'm going to take both because I don't know if I will have time to be able to do, not time, but I don't know if I'll be able to do Clouds Rest, but I want to do maybe a SOTA. Definitely going to try to do a POTA.
That's awesome. All right. Well, make sure you post in spots and skeds and all that so that we can try and work you when you're out there. If you're on the Discord or whatnot, that's probably a good way.
Thanks.
Cool. How about anybody else want to mention anything they're working on?
Sure. So I've got these rechargeable Streamlight. It's called a MicroStream USB flashlight. It has this little micro USB port. I think my lighting is all wrong to show that.
Yeah, it's your backlit. That's what's causing it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Get up here like this. There we go. A little micro USB that hides.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty nice. It's a AAA size flashlight. Normally you have a AAA battery in these, but it's a special lithium 3 volt, so it gets a lot brighter. So I made this little charging cradle for it. It has a USB breakout port from SparkFun on there, a right angle thing. It's the only one I could find. Seems to work just fine. And just kind of clips in like that.
That's cool. Did you cut that out of like Lexan? Is that Lexan?
Yeah, it's just acrylic. I cut it out using my Glowforge laser cutter. So,
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
This was made out of scraps. That's why it's blue and clear pieces. So.
Oh, it's good. So what is your goal, like to kind of mount that on a wall or something so you can just like snap it in there?
I've got a utility trailer with a solar system on it, and I want to have these in there and constantly be charged. So
oh, that's smart. Very smart.
I have 2 of these lights, and I want to make one that's double. So I have two lights ready to go at any time. So.
Cool. Very smart. I like the ingenuity. Good to be prepared too if you're running it off of solar. That's smart.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What were you gonna say? Were you gonna say something? Sorry.
Oh, no.
Anybody else have anything they're working on? Want to show off or talk about?
Yeah, I've been messing around with the Hermès Lite 2.0, which is a really interesting radio because it's basically just 2 boards. They're pre-soldered. You have to clip them together, and then it slides into a case. And basically, what it is, it's a radio that's kind of like, forgive me, Josh, but it's kind of like a Flex in that you plug the, you plug the USB in. That's how you're connecting to it.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's
okay.
a USB connector, and then it's a power, or I mean a QRP type radio. But it is a full SDR, and the SDR is based on a cable modem chip, of all things. And it's a really active community. The guy that originally created it does a lot of updates to the firmware, and he's upgraded, I think, about 5 times in the last 2 months that I've had the radio. And what he's doing is he's adding more and more and more receivers. So he's gone from like 4 to 8 to 9 to 10 separate receivers on the radio. I'm not sure when he's doing that, if there's only 1 transmitter in it. And so I'm not sure how that's working, but I've been messing around with the software, getting the software working. It runs on Power SDR. It's supposedly, and I'm still researching this, but it's supposedly the same radio that's inside an Anon 7000. So it's the internal radio, but then they put a computer around it. This one, there's no computer. You're using your laptop or whatever is a computer. So I'm having a lot of fun with that.
So that's a full. The only way to control that is via the computer software, right?
Right.
There's no manual control.
Well, now there are some guys that are building the thing that looks like a Maestro, but when you look at how much it costs to put those together, and they start off with a Raspberry Pi, and then they start putting buttons and knobs and switches and everything, and then that connects to the radio. Well, those things can run just in parts around $500 just to put that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So yeah, there are ways to do it with where it looks like a radio, but yeah, it's more of a software thing, running from a computer.
Right on. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Anybody else want to talk about anything they're working on before we, I guess, move forward with talking questions and more ham radio?
Well, I'll just tell you that I'm in the same boat you are, Josh. I've got a DX Commander sitting over here in a box. I just got to get it out and put it up.
Yeah, I there's no doubt that it's a really good antenna. I just need to get out and set it up because the Expedition. Once I have that in my arsenal ready to go, I'll be good likely for most of the activations I want to do, particularly parks on the air. It might be a little too heavy for summits on the air, depending on how much hiking you have to do.
Yeah, it's only a little bit on the heavy side for man portable.
No, yeah, I'm sure it's fine for a short hike, but if you're doing like 8 miles or something in a day, you might want to be like, maybe not.
Or if you're gonna spend a few days somewhere, that might be worth packing in.
That's true. Right on. All right, so we got a good crowd of people. We got 21 people in here right now. So thanks again for joining me. This is the patron crew, or the Patreon crew. I don't really have a fancy name yet. Maybe we'll workshop that going forward. So anybody else, before we move it on, anybody want to share anything that they're working on, they're having fun with? Other than Sam's sweet rainbow trout that he's sharing with his account image there. It's very cool. Looks like a fly fisherman. I support that. Before Ham Radio Crash Course, I used to fly fish often in and around Southern California in the streams here. There's Wyoming Ham. How's it going, man? All right. So questions. That's the easiest thing we can talk about. If there's demonstrations or things you're interested in, if there's some of my radio gear that you've been curious about or want to know pretty much anything regarding the channel or whatever, I'm open to talk about it. So what anything, I'll just open it up. Go for it.
Where are you at with the step IR?
Well, it's done.
So you haven't raised it up or done any of that kind of stuff? Or, I know you were talking about that.
It's no. So I haven't done that yet, largely because I need like a neighbor, 2 neighbors to come up and just push while I bolt it down. But that's really only going to get me like a foot. It's already 1/4 wavelength above, 20 meters. So it's fine for 20 meters as far as I'm concerned. So it's fine. It's like if I get more time and I want to futz with something, that's probably what I'll do.
Okay.
All right. What else? Questions?
When are you planning on releasing the rest of the Step IR videos?
I've kind of got them planned to space them out a bit. I've got 1 or 2 videos I have to post because I've been working on this kit, this kind of radio kit. It's kind of a disaster preparedness minded radio kit. I'd like to get that out next week. And then following that, I did a ham radio net locally here on the Keller repeater with W6RAP, Kevin, and it was on Summits on the Air, and it was a multi-hour net. He covered the basics, not the basics, but the rules of Summits on the Air and some of his tips, and then I kind of talked through the gear that I like to take and a lot of my rationale for why I take what I take. I generally pack extremely light, and that comes from me having done a soda activation where I was way too heavy, actually 2, and it totally kicked my butt. It wasn't even that much altitude gained on the second one, but it was just, I was way overpacked. It was difficult, very difficult. So I've decided I'm never doing that again. So I try and pack light, and you can see with Kevin W6RIP, his radio gear takes up very little space, but he's usually dragging out like a really high-grade camera with him for taking all those really pretty shots that he does. And so that's where he offsets the size. But yeah, that was a fun talk, so I'll likely have a video up for that in the future. Trying to make it switch automatically to who's ever talking, but it seems to not want to do that freely.
Okay, I have a very easy question for you.
Okay, go for it.
So I'm brand spanking new to this whole world. Just got my call sign Monday, and I'm looking for a mobile radio. And I heard on a video that you said you use a 9800 or had at some point total rate?
TYT.
TYT.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that for a first timer?
I think I bought my TYT 9800 4 or 5 years ago, and it's still keeping up. It's been in the truck from the moment I got it. It is an absolutely acceptable VHF UHF radio, and acceptable, the reason why I use that term is because it's just a simple analog radio when you come down to it. It's an analog radio. It doesn't have a lot of special features or anything like that. It's really just it does whatever you want as long as it's VHF UHF. It also does 10 meter and 6 meter, but that requires an antenna that will work with those frequencies. And even still, if you do have an antenna that does it, it only is in FM. So it's not really that useful for 6 meters and 10 meters unless you want to talk on repeaters that are 6 meters and 10 meters, but those are pretty rare. So the way I have it configured is it just has a 2 meter, 70 centimeter antenna, and that's it. The one advantage that it has, kind of the perk feature, is it does crossband repeating, which could be useful if you were like hiking. You could leave the radio on in your truck or car with a 50 watts output, and you can talk into the mobile and then have it talk out to a repeater or whatever. So you get some more range out of it that way, which is nice. That also works really well if you're at home and you have a good outdoor antenna. You can use that as your VHF UHF base station, and then you can just use a handy talkie. You're walking around the house with a handy talkie on crossband repeat, and you just talk into the mobile that way, and that's what lets you get out to a repeater or whatnot. That's an acceptable. Yeah, comment. Go ahead.
So I've got 3 of those 9800s, and I love them. Got one in every vehicle. One thing I will say is why I think the 9800 is better than the 7800, even if you're not going to transmit on 6 meter and 10 meter FM, is the receive capabilities. So one thing that's really cool about that radio is it will receive in those bands, including the CB radio. Won't transmit, but it'll receive it. And like you, Josh, I just use dual band antennas on them. I don't use them for 6 and 10. But the wider receiver, in my mind, makes it worth it. But anyways, just to wrap this up, for an analog radio, for $200, you can't go wrong. I really like that radio.
All right, thanks.
Got a comment.
Go for it.
I've got the Xiegu version of it, which is also quite nice. Same gripes about it, FM only. And I also have the Diamond 8900 antenna, which is really quite nice. It's kind of big, but it's very stout. Seems to reach really well for me. So,
Okay.
I had the Diamond when I first got the 9800. I had the Diamond on the truck, and I think I broke off one of the elements. But this was after years of having it, so it's not bad. And I just said, I'll just go with the 2 meter, 70 centimeter. The Diamond is expensive, if I remember correctly. Isn't it over like $120 or something like that?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's pretty beefy though. It's pretty strong, so I wouldn't be that worried about it.
I've got it on the side of my carport right now because I'm hardly driving anywhere.
I have a comment too, Josh.
Yeah, go for it.
The other thing I see about the 9800 is with the airband receive. I'm with Search and Rescue, and I've used that extensively as well, so I can listen for the Hercules coming into town for a search, and I've got that floating in the background. It's a nice
that's
feature.
Smart. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because you're if you got a better antenna on it, it's going to do better than an HT as far as like if you're going to do airband or whatever. So that's probably a good call. Plus, it's connected to your car, so it's powered off of the gasoline instead of the charged battery. So that's going to be value added. Yeah, good comments. Those are all really good. I would say just as far as mobiles go, mobiles sometimes don't have the glitz and glamour of like cool HTs, right? Like FT3DR's got all these crazy features. Mobiles generally have those features too, but they're usually like pretty expensive, and so there's kind of a break-even point. I think the TYT 9800 is kind of like that threshold before you get to crazy town with some of the costs. But they're all really usable, I've noticed. The mobile radios, they all have like really good menus. They all have pretty good screens. I'm still using my IC2730, which is just a simple VHF UHF radio, non-digital. I love it. It's really easy to program. I talk on all the nets with it, local stuff. Compare it with any antenna you want. There's lots of reasons to have a mobile radio that's like simple around, whether it's at your home or in your car. So, was there another comment?
The only thing I'd add to that is I'd always take a great antenna with a crappy radio over a great radio with a crappy antenna.
Yeah, that's a good. That's definitely a good statement to live by with amateur radio. That you want the best antenna you can put up, and that doesn't mean expensive. That means the best you can put up. Meaning, if you want to make a dipole, try and make it as as accurate, as resonant as possible on the frequencies you want to talk on. Same with a ground plane for VHF, UHF, all that good stuff. So, yeah, good comments.
Plus, if you're interested in digital, I mean, you might want to make, if you want to do DMR, that's one thing. If you want to do D-Star, that's one thing. If you want to do, system fusion. So just kind of figure out what you have in your area. And because the problem, once you buy the radio, you're sort of stuck to analog, right? And if you kind of want to do a little more, so maybe it's worth spending a little more to get into a digital mode, depending on where you live and what repeaters you have.
I've noticed that's kind of where it starts getting expensive too with mobiles and HTs, is that once you start going down the digital road, you got to get like, the Wires X, or you got to get the D-Star, and you got to get and you start collecting them because you want to collect them all like Pokemon, but for digital modes. That's why hotspots can be nice, but obviously don't slam your hotspot with 50 watts of mobile RF power. That would be bad for them. But hey, let me ask you, since I see you there, Paul, the best classic rock FM 99 WNOR, is that you? Are you the station? Are you
I was, when I lived in Norfolk, when I was in the Navy, that was the local radio station, and I had done this Hi Mom, I'm on the radio thing, and they gave me a poster.
Oh, cool.
I've just
right on.
always had the poster.
Very good.
I know I need to put something else up there, but
no, it's good.
It's cool. I get comments.
Right on. So what, any other comments on that, or does anybody have another question?
Yeah, and I think if you're looking
question.
Oops, sorry.
I think I saw Alex had a question.
I did, yeah. I'm also new to this, like Stan. I have HOA restrictions for antennas, so I installed a dual band Diamond X50 in the attic and a center fed 20-meter dipole. And I'm putting a random length antenna in also. With all the antennas inside, do I have to ground all them and ground the radios like into the earth? Nothing's outside.
I've produced a couple of videos on the topic of grounding. One was a live stream where I walked through the different cases where you should. So generally, it is generally my statement that you should definitely ground your radio equipment. Okay. Anything that connects into the radio should have a path to a ground rod, and that ground rod should be decently close to your radios so that you can get a nice short run to ground. And if you can, use ground strapping to make that connection. Like if you get a bus bar, big fat copper bus bar, just connect all the devices to that bus bar and then take a long run out to the ground rod and drop it in that way. This is a very short, I'm giving you a really short answer. The video goes into greater detail because there is, there's certain, there is codes. You got to get to the appropriate code level for wherever you live. You don't want to make sure you're doing it not to code. Plus, there's a lot of urban legends regarding grounding, and I generally would say stick to what's in the code, because if you did have a problem for some reason, your insurance companies will look for any reason to drop you, like if you got struck by lightning and you burnt something up. That's rare, by the way, particularly where I live in California. But still, you try to want to follow the code so that you don't get yourself in trouble. Lightning ground is different. I don't know if putting antennas in the attic of your house make you more prone or less prone to lightning, but it's often better to be safe than sorry when it comes to that kind of stuff. So grounding that to that ground rod that you ground your equipment to is also acceptable. Something you may think about doing. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I wasn't sure because they're all indoors. That's a great answer.
Well, lightning will jump right through the asphalt roof to hit an antenna.
I imagine so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But, it doesn't ask for permission to enter your home.
But the thing to consider is that on it, typically a tall tree, something that's full of moisture, is going to be a much better target than your house.
Sure.
But yeah, I agree with Josh completely. Ground it.
Power poles too. We'll sometimes draw it in. Power poles connected with the power lines. That's generally more likely to get struck. But at the same time, what do you want to chance it? Probably not. So.
Yeah, and typically typically a ground or a lightning arrestor will not keep you or nothing will from a direct strike. But a kind of partial strike, yeah, that's really what those are for.
and I'll add to Don's
Not
comment.
close.
The lightning arrestor, yes, if you got direct struck, there's likely going to be some serious damage. But if it's adjacent to you, like a moist tree that's on your property or whatever, you could still, if you didn't have an arrestor, you could still fry your equipment just from all the built-up power that gets, expelled during the strike. That can still come down the antenna and fry your equipment. So a lightning arrestor is a good idea, a good call, particularly if you get lightning in your area.
Thank you.
Was it Eric? Eric, did you have a question? KD0 MVL?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, you'd put out a video about creating content and just doing it. And I'm curious to know if you've had any feedback, what people were saying about it.
Yeah, I've gotten, let's see, I've gotten, how do I make myself, where is it? I don't know what's going on. Why is it doing that to me? Can I do that and then go back? Anyway, sorry, I'm messing around with things. This is the fun of doing things live, right? Because I want to mess around. Okay, so yeah, I got a lot of feedback on that video, and I think a lot of people are interested in creating content. And I think there's somewhat of my fault in not explaining exactly what I meant. Caveat, though, any kind of content creation is going to be better than it's all growth, right? It's all more content. More content creation means more people are going to look at it, means more people are exposed to amateur radio, means more people will potentially join the hobby. That video specifically, though, is kind of like entry level. I wanted it to be kind of like the first video I make on the topic, and then I'll start ratcheting it up as I go. And that entry level was simply to encourage people to post on their social media platforms of choice their experiences, their activities they're using ham radio. And the reason for that is there are people that are on your friends list that follow you on your social media that would probably never find one of my videos, for instance, right? The algorithm on YouTube is probably not going to put my videos in front of them, but they might be very adjacent to amateur radio because of some hobby they're into, like overlanding. They're into preparedness, they're into camping, they're into whatever. So if you post on your personal Facebook or your Instagram or wherever you post about, your radio setup, I'm out in this park, or I'm going camping and I brought this radio, or hey, I'm just sitting on my deck and I've got my radio and I'm listening to this net that's on tonight, you're going to get in front of people who I probably wouldn't even get in front of on YouTube. So that's what I thought would be the best for people that are interested in kind of starting out, is just start posting more about it so that people kind of see it and it becomes normalized, was the term I used. Normalization requires that like everybody has a concept of what it is you're doing. Like it's just normal. Oh, he's playing ham radio. It's just normal. That's just a cool thing people do, right? So that was kind of the goal. And again, it was step one. There's going to be more videos on that topic as I go forward. I absolutely respect everybody that's going out and making YouTube videos. That can be hard, particularly starting out. It can be difficult. So people are commenting, hey, I posted this video, go check it out. And they're posting in the comments. That's super cool. Keep doing that. A lot of respect for that. But in this case, I was kind of targeting the social media. Does that make sense, what I was saying? Does that?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the video and I took it to heart about the expansion, and it really applied to almost any sort of niche hobby in general,
Absolutely.
But I was just curious, if you'd had any like you said, people putting out videos. I didn't personally get that it was targeted to social media. It was just content is content, and put it out there and you'll get better as you go.
All of the above. I'm not saying it's bad that anybody is doing YouTube or they're making a podcast or they're making a blog. Everything is like up from here. You know what I mean? It's like if we're going up a stairs, we're starting on step one. Let's go forward. All of it's good, but I feel like social media in particular is kind of the untapped market, because if you think about it, if you find me on YouTube, it's because you're likely looking at something ham radio related. If you're going to a blog that's for ham radio, you're looking for something ham radio related. If you're listening to a podcast that's ham radio related, again, you're searching for all these things. So you have already been introduced to radio. How do we introduce more people to radio if I can't just go knock on a door and say, hey, would you like to check out this radio, right? We can't do that anymore. Plus, that doesn't really exist like it used to in the past. So what's another alternative way? Post on your social medias. Your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your nephews, whatever. One of them might say, "Oh, what is that you're doing? I've never seen that before." Or they'll think, Grandpa had a Hallicrafters in the basement and all he did was sit down there. But you're showing me a radio that's, this big, a KX2 or some QRP radio, and you're out in a park. Well, that's way more fun than sitting in the basement or sitting in the garage. So it starts to change the mindset and bring more people exposure to the hobby. It's kind of the idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me clarify that point.
So, Josh, is there any, sometimes I've noticed lately I'm starting to get back into radio, and I kind of got out of it for a while because of the job. But is there and I see there's still nets around that are kind of tech nets, and I don't see that on video on YouTube. And I thought, I'm not, I'd love to create content, and I'm kind of set myself up to hit in that row. I've downloaded OBS and started playing with all that, and with cameras and everything. But I'm not very creative, so. But I wondered if there's like, kind of like, like a call in or come to the Zoom chat that's you're broadcasting on YouTube to get help on something with a radio or with a problem or something like that, and it's on a regular basis. Is there anything? I've been kind of searching, and I follow you and Jason and Mike and some of the other guys, and I really haven't seen that. And I was wondering if that's a thing, or if it's possible.
Yeah, we're doing it right now if you think about it. But every week, right, I wrap up the live stream with the after chat that's on Discord, and that's a live chat session, video, audio chat. So that's mainly what that is lots and lots of questions people have. We're just answering questions. Like, we'll answer questions on the topic that the show is on, but then we usually open it up and just take general questions. And that's its bread and butter. Like, that's exactly what it was designed to do. I try and take some live questions, right, during the live stream, and then I sometimes wrap it up with call-ins. Also that, Dave Kassler, his YouTube channel, he live streams twice a week, and that's Ask Dave, right? He's literally taking live questions. I don't think he has an audio or video component yet, but he's definitely taking comments live from the chat and then also responding to emails live on video during his live stream. So is that kind of what you mean?
I guess, yeah. I guess I should follow your Discord next time. Go to the Discord and figure out what you're doing. But I think it's kind of like like Tech TV and those kind of things, right? Where people kind of come to you and ask questions, and it's on a weekly basis. And I certainly appreciate and everything that you guys do, and it's been fun. It's gotten me back into radio. I own 3 hotspots now. You're welcome. I've got a Clear Node. I just got that one, which says Echo Link and
oh, cool.
Whatever the other one is, Echo Link, and what's the other analog?
IRLP. All-Star?
All-Star.
Yeah.
There we go. And then I do, C4 FM, and then I have the other one for DMR. So it's kind of gotten me back into radio. I do have a radio in the truck, and I live in an HOA like everyone else or most people. So I can't do antennas where POTA or SOTA seems to be popular. Here in Georgia, we got plenty of mountains and we got plenty of parks. So it'd be kind of cool. And I'm really kind of looking at some sort of portable radio to kind of, I'm probably less of a walker, and if I was like, I can drive there. So
yeah, POTA's perfect for that.
Yeah, and it'd be nice, and I think it'd be fun, kind of, it's a couple hours a weekend maybe or whatever, or, I'm not going to do like Mike in lunchtime, it's not that close, but I can kind of do things like that, and that'd be fun, and I've been kind of looking and thinking about that, so it'd definitely be cool. But I appreciate, everything you guys do, and it's very, very fun.
Yeah, and thank you for the comment, and I'm sure that the other YouTubers, they also appreciate the feedback that everybody gives. I try to create the community aspect of it to get people's questions answered. I know I can't answer everybody's question. Facebook exists. The Ham Radio Crash Course exists for a reason. That's one of the reasons. Discord, there's just a whole section on questions and answers, and then obviously after the live stream. So I'm repeating myself a bit, but that's kind of what it's designed to do. So do check out the Discord if you're not already. All right. Any other questions? Or who's next, I should say. I'm going to grab some water while.
I have a VNA question.
A VNA question? Okay.
Yes, I got a VNA F.
That's the big one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the back, it's got this USB-C for charging and an on-off switch. And there's a USB port that says 5 volts out. And I haven't found anybody online that has addressed that yet for what that's for.
What kind of USB cable is it?
It looks like something you would plug in to go charge your phone or something.
I think that's what it is. I think it's just pass-through. I think it's 5-volt pass-through.
Okay.
Plug your phone into it, see what it does. That's my guess.
It is for the phone.
What's that?
It is for the phone. You use that little cable to use the software with your phone.
Oh, there you go. It's to connect the phone. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And by the way, the phone apps and the what is it? Easy VNA, Open VNA? I can't remember what it's called. The software for running the Nano VNA is pretty cool. Very straightforward. Very easy to get started. That's like one of the coolest things that's come out recently. It really opens up not just like using the radio, but kind of encourages you to play around with it and get into making antennas and whatnot. So I really like the Nano VNAs. Very good stuff. Let me check to make sure I let everybody in.
I keep wondering if the widespread availability of the Nano VNA will get Rig Expert to start dropping their prices.
You know about the Rig Expert's AA30.0, right? It's a small single board deal. It's about $82. And you can, obviously no screen, no nothing. So it's not as slick as that one, but that's what I started with. I started with the AA30.0 and then ended up buying a 600 because they work so darn good. And I was surprised when people start buying the Nano VNAs and it's like calibrate, then you can use it. And,
it does more than that, right? That's why. The VNA
right.
does way more than just antenna analyzing. That's why you calibrate.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you're testing a filter or if you're testing something other than an antenna, for instance, that's when you'd want to recalibrate based off of your testing leads.
Yeah.
And once you do calibrate it, you save that off as a configuration, and then you just reload that configuration, or it's just whatever defaults on startup. You often don't need to recalibrate if you're going to use those same cables that come with the unit.
Yeah. See, I saw Kevin Loffin's videos on them, and like he bought 3 bad ones, and I'm like, wow, okay, now how does anybody ever get a good one? But then Smoking Ape, he's been buying several of them and never had that problem.
That's why I recommended the one off of Amazon. If you go back to watch my video that I think it was 2019 when I put that video up, and I did the walkthrough explaining how to use it and all that stuff. I said specifically, I bought this off Amazon. I paid more money because if it breaks on me, I send it back to Amazon and say, fix it. Versus if you're buying it off of, what is it, Alibaba or wherever the quote-unquote legit one is from, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to get, right? It could be a clone. Now, they're all clones if you get right down to it, but the Amazon, the service, is taking some of the risk out of it.
Yeah, I've been buying from R&L, and those have been good for me. And they come in around $39. Like 2 days ago, they had one of their H4s, I think, or I don't remember exactly the model, but it was $39. And good ones too.
Yeah, great recommendation. Go do check out R&L. You can actually get them pretty cheap at R&L. If I remember, I should probably take some show notes here on things I got to make sure I do when I wrap this up.
Yeah. Well, that's where Smoking Ape's been recommending people go. And I was
Ace model for $59.
Well, they've got a whole line of the models, the 4-inch and the 2.8-inch screens, and the H's and the 4s, and so he went through what the different models were on one of his videos. It was quite interesting, but I don't think I quite get exactly. I think one of them does 1,024 points for when it does a sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I covered that a bit when I did my video on why you would change the points, right? And I was able to show that sometimes your lowest point of the antenna on the SWR on the frequency range could be between points, and so you might be getting misinformation that you think the lowest point is to the above or below where it actually is. So sometimes you want more points if you want to be like really picky about where you put that curve at, then you may want to add more points. But it's not the funnest thing to do because you got to sit and wait for it to process for a while.
Yeah, but that's what I do on my Rig Expert.
Well, sure.
Well, I mean, you can do it on the AA30.Zoom too, but I mean, you can bump it to as many points as you want, let it run, and I sweep an entire DX commander that way.
Sure.
So I know that all of the bands are dropping where they need to be while they're all active, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So,
very good. All right. All right, so what else is going on?
What'd you do with your hex beam?
It's on the ground sitting behind me. Anybody want it? Local pickup. Contact me. I'll give you a good deal.
I kind of want it, but I'm not local.
I've heard that from a couple people. They're like, oh, no, I'll totally come get it. But, you know, where are you? Oh, I'm in Southern California. Oh, never mind. I don't want to drive, let alone go to California to get an antenna.
Which one is it, though? I'm curious. Did you just buy DX Engineering's, or did you buy...
No, it's Radio Waves.
Okay.
It's a Radio Waves. It's kind of a semi-custom job. Custom's the wrong word. I got a lot of the add-ons that they have. It's not the 6 through 20 all-band jobber. It is 6, 10, 15, and 20 meters. Plus, it has 40 meters above it. So it's got a 40-meter short, as they call it, antenna. And it has a broadband bow tie dipole in the middle, and the broadband dipole is a receiving antenna, so you would use that with like an SDR or a shortwave receiver, that type of thing. And I actually had that hooked up to my Drake receiver, my old what is that, I don't remember what the model is, but it's the iconic black older Drake. And that thing's awesome on there. It really sounds great for picking up AM stations and stuff like that.
Yeah. Can I ask you another question about the step IR?
Sure.
So are you going to do a video or maybe discuss at some point why you chose the one you chose, or comparing it to some of the other ones?
Yeah. And in fact, I can give you the Cliff Notes version of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I already had a 2-element Yagi. It was the hex beam.
Mm-hmm.
So if I went with the urban beam, I would get better SWR. It would probably perform better because it would be constantly adjusting, but I wouldn't be getting any more gain, really. I wouldn't be picking up more gain than I already had. So I kind of wanted to bump it up some and get a little bit more gain out of it. So basically that meant going to a 3-element.
Yeah, but you got a 3-element in the same turning radius, right, as the urban, right? Or is the urban shorter? Because it looks longer to me. In fact, I think I can pull it up. I'll pull it up. I think the 3-element is a bigger turning radius. To me, it looks like it's just more square, but I could be wrong.
It is bigger all around than the urban.
True, but I just wondered, like, end to end, is it? But and maybe it is. I don't get the scale when I'm seeing your video.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a guy that has one laid out in his, like, next to his house, one of the urbans, and
mm-hmm.
I can't believe how big that is.
Is that Pascal?
I think so. Yeah.
Let me see. Turning radius. Yeah. So the 3-element is 4 feet longer turning radius.
Oh, okay. All right.
So let me throw this over to the web really quick so I can show everybody. Yeah, so right here, turning radius is 15 feet. Mm-hmm. And on the 3-element, it's 19.5 feet. Okay. Turning radius, so.
Right, okay.
It's a biggin. It's no joke. Leia was shocked. She was shooketh is the term she would use. Did we answer the question about the hex beam when we were talking? I think we jumped in there with the step IR. So
you were done. It's something I'm thinking about doing. I just have a vertical right now, and I don't have a tower or anything. So it's something I've been thinking about doing, but obviously it's not a small investment. So
no, it's not. And I guess that goes back to the statement when we started out. You want to get the best antenna you can, and you can hold back on the radio as long as you got a good antenna, right? So keep that in mind. I'm kind of the mindset that like the 7300 is still probably my benchmark for starting out on HF, because it's so easy to just get on the air, right? If you want to do digital modes or voice, whatever. But then it's like once you get that, you kind of want to just start elevating your antenna game. So you start out with like an end-fed, if whatever, or a vertical or a dipole, and then if you start to feel like you're outgrowing that, think about maybe getting some gain on the antenna or getting it higher up or that kind of stuff before you go full amp land with it.
Well, the crazy thing for me is my vertical's mounted up on a steel roof, and I use the entire roof as a counterpoise. It works really, really well. I also have a 7300, but what's interesting is I've been doing a lot of POTA lately and building antennas, and my little $30 inverted 20-meter inverted V on a painter's pole gets quite literally a third of the noise that vertical gets. Like if I just hook both antennas up and switch between them, it is shocking how much more noise that vertical's hearing, which is why I'm trying to figure out a way to get a horizontal antenna.
Is that painter pole antenna you're running, is that an inverted V or is it a proper horizontal dipole?
Inverted V is it's meant to be portable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably acting somewhat horizontal, although the technician test or one of the tests will tell you, an inverted V will behave like a vertical. That doesn't mean it's really behaving like a vertical polarized antenna. It's still horizontal, so you're probably getting some benefit out of it being horizontal, if you will, in reducing the noise some. Is the signal strength the same though on the receive side?
Yeah, I'd say the signal strength is about the same, but it's amazing how much more noise I get on the vertical antenna. And a lot of the Elmers around here warned me of that. They said your verticals have great transmit takeoff, but you're going to get a lot of noise. And I don't think I really believed them as much until I could compare them side by side so easily.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. It's nice that you have both options though, because you're splitting between a vertical and a horizontal, right? So you can always kind of split the difference on whatever's acting the best at that particular time, which is something we talked about in the last live stream with the maybe running a receive loop antenna along with your attic dipole or whatever. Because receive loops, you can make it look like a pot hanger. You could put a fake pot on it with a plant, and that would be stealth enough for you, I think.
Well, here, I'll ask you my last hex beam question. We can move on.
Sure.
You're the only person I actually know who has ever had a hex beam antenna.
Okay.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, with the caveat of you might have to futz with it. So the hex beam that I got when I put it up, remember they're stacked antennas if you think about it, right? It's the connector, if you will, the center connector for the coax is a bus bar that goes up the top, and there's all these little wing nuts off of it. And the stacked wires, they're all separate antennas. They're separate length antennas. So if for whatever reason those wire lengths aren't going to match your location with your ground composition, et cetera, then you're going to have mismatches with your SWR. So if you know that going in that you're going to have to mess with it a little bit, then it'll be fine for you. If you expect that you're dropping upwards of $1,000 and you have to do nothing with it, that may be an improper going in expectation is kind of what I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. What else was I going to say on that front? I would argue that you're probably likely going to experience that with most antennas that you would be putting up, that even if you're buying a turnkey antenna, there's still some futzing you have to do. You know, I have not, okay, so I'm knocking on all the wood right now. I have not had to do anything to the step IR, right? It tunes itself up. That's what it's supposed to do. It better do it. But I had to get a lot of upfront time and effort in putting it together and getting it on the roof. It was way more involved than doing the hex beam as far as getting it up there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, it's a much more complicated technical antenna than the hex beam is. Right on. Well, it doesn't have to just be questions. We can talk about just about anything or demonstrate anything. Questions or comments on digital modes, radios that I have that you're curious about, even camera stuff. If you want to talk about that, that's always fun. People like that kind of stuff too.
What do you think about the D52 announcement?
I wasn't surprised by it because obviously the 51A was discontinued and the 31 was deeply discounted to the point that they liquidated the supply. I don't know what to expect because the write-up, right, when you go to the ICOM site, there's not a whole lot of details in there. I like the color screen aspect of it. I like the form factor of the 31. I bought a 31 because it was so cheap, and I've been playing around with it. I like the form factor. I have said before I like radios to have a keypad on it, you know, like a keypad, unless it's super, super small.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of you kind of have to, depends on what you want to do. The ICOMs up to date have been very approachable for people that are new in the hobby. You don't have to do a whole lot to get on like a repeater and start talking. You just do the local search. It'll go out there and do what it does, and it'll kind of put you on a repeater, and you're off to the races. If you want to go into it and tweak things around a little bit, you can, but there's not a lot of you can't do a lot of the keypad programming that you might expect to do with like a Kenwood or a Yaesu. I'm curious though. I'm interested to see what the confluence is going to be between the 52 and the 705. So Ray's been talking about that for a while, that they'll work together in some capacity, which I think is pretty interesting. If that's like on D-Star, I'm guessing, is that the 705 can act like the node, and then the handy talkie is kind of like what you're talking on through the 705, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. I've got to go talk to Ray and figure out how that's all going to work.
I don't know how true this is, but one of the guys, actually our club president here, he's actually got a pretty good friend that works for ICOM, and I guess it's ICOM's business model. They kind of insist that anything that can do 2 meter, 70 centimeter has to have D-Star built into it.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually said that that requirement pushed the tuner and several other things out of that 705. And I hadn't really thought about that, of whether or not, you've only got so much room, right? So you pack D-Star electronics in there, you've got to give something up. So you think about it, could there have been a 705 that didn't have D-Star, but instead had a 10-to-1 tuner like the KX3 or something? But, it's fantasy land. We may never know. But the idea you just brought up is very interesting about if they're going to go kind of like Apple and make, if the D52 and the 705 just work well together and complement each other, I could see how that could be kind of neat.
That's kind of what I'm half expecting, is that there's going to be some kind of integration there that you'd be able to leverage. I said the same thing about the 705. Why is there not a tuner in it? I'm like, well, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got Bluetooth, it has the 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and it's got D-Star. Like, those are all discrete components of some kind that need to be put in the box. I'm guessing ICOM didn't develop their own Wi-Fi adapter or Bluetooth adapter, so they're using some kind of commercially off-the-shelf solution for that, and that's a part of their design. That's all taking up space, right? That's all something you have to get in the box, if you will. I said it on the TX500 video that I'm not I'm not hard up against radios that don't have tuners. I've got plenty of CW only radios that don't have tuners. They're completely fine. It just limits your options as far as which antennas you're going to run, but that's usually not that big a deal.
It depends on what you're doing. I mean,
sure.
I don't do SOTA, since I do parks on the air, and every antenna I carry is resonant. I don't need it. But you know, for somebody that just wants to be able to throw a random wire in a tree, that can be pretty frustrating.
Sure, and you know, I probably wouldn't make a Let's Antenna video with the 705 without a tuner, right? Because I'd just probably fry it up. I'd just cook it up because it'd be such a mismatch.
Yeah, you might blow up the fire extinguisher when you try that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my crazy use case, right? Most use cases don't necessarily need that capability, so I don't know. Yeah, very good.
So you don't think maybe in the works that they have another tuner besides that one they showed the other day, right? The one they showed the other day seemed to be just random wire, but you'd think if they can do it for a random wire, they can do it for another one.
Well, I thought it was both. I thought it had a BNC connection and a random wire connection.
Well, he said one of the images showed an SO239, but no, that's not right. That's just the picture. So I had a hard time following that part.
No, he was saying that has an SO239. It won't be SO239. It'll be BNC.
Okay.
So it was just the wrong connector in the mock-up. I believe all the connectors will be BNC, and then there will also be a 2-post for random wire and a radial. That's don't quote me on that. I think that's true.
Like running a doublet, or not a doublet necessarily, but a
doublet,
a dipole, or a Carolina Windham, or something like that, where you need a tuner.
No, a doublet was the perfect example. Something fed with ladder line. You can connect it to those 2 posts, and you're off and running.
Oh, okay. I love my doublet.
Yeah. So yeah, you could connect your doublet to this. I think it's the AH-705. I think that's what they called it. You can connect it to the posts on there, and then you're off and running. That's my understanding. Ray, come at me and correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's right, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find an image of it so I can pull it up here. Ah, there it is. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's see. Where do I... Oh, Universal Radio. The Universal Radio always has really good images. So that's the tuner. But I think they only have the front side. So obviously the connection from the radio, the 705, into the tuner is that BNC. But I believe there's also a BNC on the other end to the output, to the antenna, plus also the binding posts, I think.
Which would kind of make sense, since that's how most tuners are.
Yeah.
Well, in the discussion he was having on Good Games deal, he kept calling it a random wire tuner or a long wire tuner, and so I couldn't quite get. I mean, to me, that would be the least one that I would want. I'd want something that could handle something with coax on it, right?
I think the reason he was saying that is because most other tuners that are in this market space, the QRP type tuner, they can't do a random wire. They're only BNC in, BNC out, right? Or SO239. I think he was saying that to say it's that plus the random wire. But again, I will clarify that point. It's funny. There's only one picture of it. It's possible that they just don't have the other side out because they're still working on it. I'll have to see what Ray says. That's not it. But that's my understanding. It was if it was definitely supposed to be a stand like the Elecraft tuner, right? The Elecraft tuner has 2 posts on the top, the BNC for input, BNC for output, or vice versa. Sorry, transmitter and antenna. So think of that plus having the connection for a doublet or a random wire. That's what I think it is anyway. All right, very good. So what else is going on? Anybody to do any radio activation this weekend? No, nobody's gonna play with radios. No, nothing. That's it.
I might take off in my car and just go somewhere quiet because I mean, this S7 noise level is really getting me.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And you know, and by the way, that leads me to one other question. I hope you guys don't mind my asking so many. But so talking about the hex beam, would you think that there would be a stepping stone to that by, say, taking a cobweb, for instance, just to try and see, okay, look, this is actually going to affect my noise level, and so maybe a hex beam or some kind of a Yagi would actually work better than my vertical? I cannot kill this noise level. It's just, you know.
So a cobweb is just a dipole.
Right.
It's a multi-band dipole.
I'm just saying as a stepping stone.
Well, I'm answering it. Hold on.
Okay.
The cobweb is horizontally polarized. So if you put up a cobweb and your noise went down, great, there's your stepping stone. But you don't need to spend that much money. You just test it with a dipole. It's still just a dipole when you think about it.
I've got so many dipoles too. That's a good idea. No, really, I mean, because I've got that Soda Beams.
The tri-band
and hopper. You know, the four element.
Oh, you got So that's exactly. But now the trick with that is you gotta try and get them horizontal and get them up in the air.
Height is might.
What's that, John?
I said height is might. If you know, so, kind of in two fronts there, right? Anytime you're dealing with horizontal antenna, you need that height, period. You know, vertical you can put right on the ground. Dipole, you really got to get it up in the air. But additionally, if you live somewhere where there's a lot of ambient noise, height is really might. There's a reason why radio towers are 200 feet in the air.
Yeah, and there are people that live near me that's what they do. They literally have 100 to 150 foot towers, and I don't want to put that in my yard. It's too much. But I do have a 50-foot carbon fiber mast, one of those. And that was my original thing, was putting the doublet up on it, but then I just don't have the land. So if you have a way of solving the land problem,
I mean, put it on top of your roof. Do what I did, and I'm working with what I got. Right, that's the thing I remind people is, you know, I got comments on the Step IR. Oh, it's too close to the ground. It's fine for 20 and everything higher than 20. It's too close to the ground for 30 and 40. I agree, but that's what I got, so that's what I'm going to use. That's the world I live in, right? I can't put up a 100-foot tower in my backyard. That's not. I got neighbors on both sides of me. If it fell over, it would literally fall over 2 houses to my left or right. I'm not going to play that game, so I'm just working with what I have, and you should feel free to explore your space if you got it.
You could do like Callum does and do that 40. You could do a 40-meter California net or something. You got that big bubble of RF, right?
There you go. Yeah, well, Callum's interesting too, because you got to keep in mind, like, there's a lot of people densely kind of packed in the area in and around that where Callum is. So 80 meters is like a fantastic band for people in Great Britain. And that whole surrounding area, really, right? Because they're close, and they're surrounded by water. That's got to help them out too, I bet. Well, very good. I'm hoping to. I mean, what are we? We're in mid-August right now. I'm hoping that the 705 we start to see it in September. I'm definitely getting one. I've already got my order in at HRO. So I will definitely have one. And there's already some things that I've been kind of working on subtly, because there's some capabilities we should be able to leverage with the radio that we haven't been able to do before with other radios. So I'm kind of interested to see how much of that's going to be possible. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, you remember what comes out in 2 days, right?
No.
The 17th, I think. The GSOC.
The GSOC.
Yeah, the new head unit for the G90.
Oh yeah. Are you getting one of those? Aren't they like?
I'm going to look at it first because I mean my main thing on the G90 is keeping it in the car And looking at that, I don't know that that's a good car thing. But if it looks like it might work, then yeah, I might get one of those. Because I really do like this radio in the car. That 20 watts makes a big difference when you go somewhere. I can't believe sitting here in Texas being able to talk to Y SSB with 20 watts. And again, because I'm getting away from this area, from my house, but I mean, in the car, it just works so well.
Don't forget, you can do FM with the GSOC.
You can do what?
You
FM.
can do FM.
On HF, or it gives you VHF, UHF?
No, it gives you FM on 10 meters, I think, but it may be on all of the bands. I don't know.
I'm sure somebody has a use case for that. I don't really. But, I mean, hell, throw more features into it. Yeah, I mean, they're not cheap, right? Weren't they like $500?
They haven't announced the price. That's one of the things we'll find out on the 7th.
Ooh, I see. So it's not that it's out. It's we'll take your money now, please.
That's going on right now, but on the 17th, they're going to actually show the thing and tell you what the price actually is.
Well, how are you supposed to pre-order it then?
You can pre-order it now. From
Where?
Radioddity. But I don't know how you pre-order something without a price. I don't. Well, I mean, you did it with the 705, right?
Well, yeah, but that was like $35 for a pre-order.
I think that's what they're doing now. They're just taking pre-orders.
Okay, I'm gonna pull this up.
Go to Radioddity and look.
Yeah, it says sold out, so maybe they sold all their pre-orders.
Reservation, that's all.
Yeah.
So there's your. So it okay, I don't understand. Oh yeah, $999. It says sold out, but then it says pre-order on August 17th.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we just have to come back and pre-order it.
Yeah, and then we'll know what the price is. I guess that's really what's going to happen on the 17th.
Get on a waiting list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put let me get my Hashnasi in there. I'll tell you when. I'm guessing what do you speculate? Everybody in the chat, what do you speculate? $400, $500? I'm guessing.
Yeah, at the most.
500 seems, anything more than that seems like way too much, but 500 already seems a little high.
Radio was only $429.
Right, it's going to cost more than the radio.
Well, the amp does too, and
Well, amps I'm not surprised by. So let me see what else we got in this. I mean, it looks cool. I actually really like the look of the screen. I think that's really smart looking. That's really good.
I think isn't it supposed to be 7 inches?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good size.
It's not wireless though. That's the other thing.
Right. No, it plugs in with a serial connection, which is cool.
You actually have to, is my understanding, you have to disconnect the head unit off of the G90 and replace it with this via the connection cable. This could be really compelling for a car. This could be a cool little mobile setup.
Could be. That's why I'm saying I'm holding out. I'm going to see what it's like. But I mean, definitely, to me, this is a mobile radio for me.
So a couple of things jump out at me. So we already covered the ADS FM. Then there's digital mode decoding capabilities, which is kind of cool. It'd be nice if it could also transmit in those modes. Message, so they can do automatic voice call and preset message storage and sending, which is nice. So you could key up, you could pre-record your CQ calls and you could just let it run, hopefully. Supports mouse and keyboard. That's interesting. Okay. So it has I/O for USB, SDR, an SD card, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. And there's the mouse and keyboard. It comes with a clock, high rate. Interesting. High clock rate. Oh, no, sorry, not a clock. It's a high clock rate dual core processor. Large memory and built-in eMMC storage. Very good. Yeah. I think it's cool. I think it's good people are doing stuff like this, but there are 5 questions that don't have. One question has an answer. How much do y'all plan to price this? I hope it's very market friendly. And the reply is, it depends on the cost, and we also hope it's very cost-friendly. Well, sure. Good answer. Will it replace the current faceplate? It will be an additional... Oh, wait. Okay, so... So, okay, maybe I was wrong, because the Q&A asks, will it replace the current faceplate or be an additional control? And they answered, it will be an additional remote controller for the Xiegu G90.
The pictures I saw, it had both the head and the display.
It had the head unit on the G90 and running the display?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So then I'm wrong. I thought they had to replace... Oh, that's funny. It says $999. This is not real.
Yes, that is a whole price placeholder because the website apparently the website would not take it without something in there.
Yep. Well, very good. All right. Do we have any other questions or comments? Anything anybody wants to say before we start to wrap things up here?
Do take a look at that Open WebRx thing that I posted.
Oh yeah, you posted it on the Patreon side of Discord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's SDR software, right?
Yeah, I've got it connected to my RSP1A on a Raspberry Pi. And what attracted me to it was that it does decoding for YSF, DMR, D-Star, built into the software, and you browse to the website, and you get this web page with all that capability there. So you're driving it through a web page. So basically, I can put my Raspberry Pi, say, in this shack here, and then be back in my computer room or my office and bring it up and run it and listen to it and everything. So,
that is pretty slick.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah, they're pushing it for you can put it on the web in like WebRx, but yeah.
Very good. All right, I will check that out. Anything else? Any comments people have?
So I have a question that's kind of for everyone, not just you, Josh.
Sure.
So my club here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we were going to be hosting the 2020 state ARRL state convention, and then the human malware virus happened and our section leader required us to postpone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we actually pulled a 1-by-1 call for the event. It's W7Y. We're going to have that call sign from September 6th to September 15th. And so we kind of decided, well, let's not let it go to waste. So we know there's a lot of people in the world that need Wyoming.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to keep that call sign on the air pretty much around the clock, as kind of a QSO party, if you will. But we've never really done this before. So does anybody have any advice?
As far as like letting people know, getting the word out, or what are you trying to do? Like you want to run an event call, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have the call sign. We know we have the call sign. It's more how to make it fun, right? I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, put the call sign on the air. Have somebody on 20-meter voice and somebody on 40-meter CW or something. But I mean,
title your event, "Come and Get Wyoming, Your Last WAS."
That's a pretty cool idea.
Come and get Wyoming. That's what I call it.
You might check with Sato. Sato, you know Grant, right? Matt or
Sean?
Josh, sorry. He just ran K3K for the DEF CON. So he might have some experience doing a special event. And he's on Discord quite often.
Yeah, I think you have to register as a special event. Well, you've already done that because you got the special event call. I think you can do anything you want at that point because you've identified it as a special event. You just need to say, you could probably make up a really easy website that gives your plan of what you're planning on doing. Maybe break it out by day. Give yourself, some room. Say, hey, I'll be on FT8 mornings and I'll be 40 in the evenings and single sideband or whatever, and then maybe you can pass it around to other people and they can activate with it. Does that make sense? Maybe come up with a QSL card. People love that.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we've got the QSL card in the works, and interestingly enough, we've kind of discovered we can actually have the call sign online by more than one people simultaneously. They just can't be working the same mode. So we can have somebody working satellites and somebody working 20-meter voice at the exact same time.
Cool. Yeah.
So we're going to try to put the website. You see, you guys are tossing out all the same stuff we've pretty much already thought of. Thanks for the advice.
And then just to get it out there, that's easy enough. You just, make a website, contact all the YouTubers, post it in the social media groups. Post it on QRZ, right? It's a news brief. You say, hey, come get Wyoming, and then just go that way. Say, hey, we're going to be active on this week or whatever, and we're going to be working these modes. For more information, check out the website. That's what I would do.
We've even got guys that are going to do POTA. I mean, we're
cool.
We're going to try to activate some parks. I don't know how much it's going to shake out, but we're going to try.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the come and get Wyoming. So thanks for that.
And definitely do FT8. You'll get slammed on FT8.
Yeah, we'll probably do some FT8. Most of us aren't a real big fan of FT8.
Well, you could run Fox and Hound with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not really like a DX. You're not a DXpedition, but at the same time, it might be rare enough that you could say, hey, we're going to be running Fox and Hound, but you probably just end up having more people confused than be able to work you. I've noticed that people get really confused by Fox and Hound. They don't know how to set it up right completely. A lot of people do, but I'm always, when I see a DXpedition on a frequency, there's a lot of people in there that are trying to run traditional FT8 with it, and it's just, it's a mess.
Well, thanks for letting me pick all of your brains. Thank you.
Yeah, make sure you send the link to me at some point, and I'll mention it in a live stream. Because you guys don't have much time. You've got a couple of weeks before you got to have it all solidified, right?
I'm on the hook for the website already. I already manage my club's website, so they're like, "You're going to build a page, right?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
So I'll get it done.
Right on. Well, very good, very good. I'm probably going to wrap things up here. I think I'm going to go back to getting further along with all the stuff I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow's live stream is on PACE communication plans that Mike Glover introduced me to, and likely some of you in the interview I did with him 2 weeks ago. I've never really, everybody thinks of, 1 is none, 2 is 1 kind of concept, but this is actually a concept of like overlaying communication modes and capabilities onto your plan of action. For communications. I thought that was really cool. And it goes beyond radio. It goes all the way into power, how you power your radios, how you keep them powered, multitude of things. So it should be really fun. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. We're going to try and do this semi-actively. I'd like to do it monthly. That would be fun. But maybe that's too much. Maybe there's not enough questions within a month. I don't know. But you let me know in the comments what you guys think, because this is going to post to YouTube, wide open to YouTube. So maybe people that are watching this after the fact will be interested and post questions below, and I'll try and capture them. All right?
Thanks for taking your time, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thank you all for coming out here. I appreciate you. You took your time to be here, too. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There were some guys that really wanted to join today and then couldn't, so you never know. I mean, next time we'll see other people.
That's true. There's a couple of patrons that mentioned to me that they were working or they wouldn't be home in time and all that. So maybe we'll stick to this time. Maybe we'll move it back an hour, move it forward an hour. I don't know. But next one I do, I'll make a kind of votey thing on Patreon that people can kind of mention what they think the best time would be. Friday is kind of a sweet spot for me because I'm off of work usually on every other Friday, and so I try to take advantage of that to the best of my ability. So. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. And thanks again, everybody on YouTube for watching. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. You've been watching the Ham Radio Crash Course. See ya.